first screen. All right, we got a few people joining us. So as you log in, let me know in the comments where you're checking in from. We're just going to give it a couple minutes and let everyone get checked in. We don't want to get started too soon. We got my team here in Kempville. Awesome. Hey, Emily. We'll give it to 8:03, give people a chance. I like the, what's it called? What is your handle? I like the handle of ohshit_live. That's a good one. Oh shit, I would love to wonder what it is you do. Anybody else want to tell us where you're calling in from? I understand Emily's got a lot of followers in the California or the Western US states. I'm here in US. I'm absolutely not. I'm here from Eastern Canada, not on the East Coast, but we're in Ontario. And it is cold tonight. And actually, we can't really complain because it's really kind of the first cold night we've had so far this year. All right, we'll just wait one more minute, give people a chance to get checked in, say hello, tell us where you're from. And then we are gonna get to it. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight, Monday night, 8 p.m. here in Eastern Canada. So wherever you guys are calling in from, I'm not sure what time it is there. So I'm going to introduce myself. I am Julia O'Grady, and I am the founder and owner of ITM Events. I am a mom, a wife, and an entrepreneur. Just to make it very clear before I get into anything I'm going to talk about, that I am not a doctor or a therapist. The story I'm going to share with you is my own story and the things that I learned and the things that I was taught. This is not in any way I'm not a therapist and I'm here to offer advice in that way. I'm just offering advice strictly from myself and from what I've learned through my own mental health struggles. So first of all, I want to thank Emily for having me here tonight. What's really great, and what we didn't realize when we booked this, was that this topic was going to be on January 18th, which is Blue Monday. So totally by chance, perfectly lined up. It couldn't be on a better day. So I'm super excited to be here today. Now, as we go along, I have a whole structure here. There's behind this camera, I have 2 sheets of notes of things that I want to talk about and a structure that I have put together. But I'm here to serve you tonight. So if you have questions, I would really like to be able to focus on that and answer the questions that you have, and help you relate to, or help my story relate to what you're going through, so that I can offer you advice, or, or even just an ear if we just needed an ear to listen to. So please just post anything in the comments. I've got my team here who's going to hand over the questions to me, because it is a bit hard sometimes to watch what's going on in the comments while I focus on my topics. So, okay, so tonight I am talking about my mental health breakdown and the recovery from that. So Emily made an error in one of her posts today. I saw that this wasn't a COVID breakdown. This actually happened in January 2019. But I think this is a great story for those moms out there right now who are struggling. You can take like what my COVID was, like that final breaking point for me. You can make that into whatever that final breaking point is for you. And if that is COVID, then that's fine. You can change that story however it fits for you. So none of us, like whenever you're hearing people talk about these kinds of struggles, it's not about comparing one story to the other and, I was harder up than you were and I should have been, my breakdown was worse than your breakdown. There is no such thing. Everyone has their own breaking points. So listen to the story and take from it whatever it is that I can offer that may help you today. All right. So I'm going to start off with the diagnosis itself and where that took me and how I felt. And then I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the healing process and where I've been, because I really want to take a positive spin on this. I don't want it to be heavy and kind of a sad story, because it's not that. It's an opportunity where I was able to get better and get healthy, and I want to be able to offer those tools that I gathered over the last 2 years to get healthy and become the best version of myself. Okay, so end of 2018, so travel back in time with me here. End of 2018, I was running my business. I had sorry if you guys can hear my dog snoring in the background. My oldest daughter, I think, had started university. My youngest daughter was in grade 10 or 11. I'm married. Life is good. We own a beautiful home. We live in the country, all of those things. Everything is good. But what was happening was I was tired. I had no energy. I was frustrated, easily frustrated. I was angry all the time. I was gaining weight. Just like a combination of so many things. And I figured it was just because I wasn't working hard enough. Right? It's my own weakness. I should be working harder. I should be doing more. And so I went to talk to a therapist and it was a therapist specifically for female entrepreneurs, because I didn't want a therapist telling me, oh, you just need to take a break. Don't work so hard, right? So I wanted to work with someone who is used to working with high achievers and women who feel that they always need to be doing more. I'm sure we weren't on the call more than 30 minutes when she told me that I was on the verge of a complete mental breakdown. That was not at all what I thought was going to come out of that phone call. What I took from that was, holy crap, I'm in trouble. Right? When someone tells you, when a doctor diagnoses you to say, you need to stop now before your body stops you, I needed to listen. There was no more pushing through it, right? Because as an overachiever, that's what you do. You don't feel well, you push through it. You have a cold, you work through it. You break your arm, you still go to work, right? That's just what we do, and that's what we have to be doing. And so so when she said that to me, it changed everything for me. I spent the next 2 weeks in bed. I cried a lot. I slept, just all of those things that my body needed. My body needed me to just stop for a minute. And that's what I did. And I didn't really have any choice. Now, what started to go through my mind? So as I started to not feel better, because I was a million miles from feeling better, but as I started to kind of get through the sleep and the crying stopped, I started to think about, why is this happening? This doesn't happen to strong, independent women. Why is this happening to me? What I didn't realize at the time that I now realize looking back, right? Hindsight is 2020, is that this breakdown was building from years ago. Just it's stockpiles. And for women especially, because we are dealing with just everyday stuff, right? We're managing our family. We're trying to decide what's for dinner. We're trying to be a good employee, but trying to be a good mom. And I have to leave the office, and but I also need to be at my daughter's play and on time. And so, and then my husband's a firefighter. So I was managing him as well. He works shift work. So which means I had to balance our family schedule and my schedule around his schedule, and keeping an eye on him to make sure his mental health is doing well. Didn't want to miss volunteer time at my daughter's school. So all of these things adding up, and those are just day-to-day things that we're dealing with on a regular basis. Then you add in these high stress moments, right? So it turned out that after, never mind, we're not going to go there. So high stress moments. So, you're changing jobs or you don't like your job. The stress is adding up on top of everything else you're already dealing with. At the time, my company was failing. So I had the pressure of that. And as we know, actually, I'd love to know how many people here are entrepreneurs? Do you want to share? Just give me a hands up or a yes in the comments. How many of you are entrepreneurs and understand that feeling? There we go. We got one. So an entrepreneur's life, if you're not an entrepreneur, this is how this works. And it's my favorite graphic. I didn't print it out to show you, but my favorite graphic is, it's 7:00 in the morning. And you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a good day. By 10 o'clock, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm such a failure. Why did I ever start this? By 12 o'clock p.m., you are thinking, okay, I'm on top of the world. This is going to be amazing. By 2:30, you think you've totally lost everything and you can't believe you actually started this venture in the first place. So on top of everything else you're dealing with, being an entrepreneur, you're adding this daily stress that is moving through your body. Then, so what happens is I think we all think that there is this one moment in time that causes your mental breakdown. So what I'm getting at here is that is not the case. There is one moment in time that is the piece that pushes you over the edge, right? So after we've dealt with everyday stuff, then we've dealt with high stress moments in your life, and it can be anything. Your stress is different than my stress, and it doesn't matter. No one is judging. Then you get into tragedy, and that's usually going to be the tipping point for most people. But so for me, let me tell you, we had two major tragedies in our family in a span of 10 years. So the first one, my 3-year-old nephew died. So we went through the process of him, like we were there when he died, and then we, planned the funeral with my sister and went through all the family stuff. And it was a bit of a high profile, he was a bit of a high profile child. And so we went through interviews with the news people and all kinds of stuff, right? So you're go. Then we get to the funeral day, and we get to the funeral, we go through the funeral. My daughters are little at the time, so I'm dealing with them and trying to manage their emotions and keep everyone sane. And instead of giving myself the time to rest and heal and recuperate from what we've just been through, my colleague is in the back of the arena, which the funeral was in the arena, is in the back of the arena waiting for everything to finish. And as soon as we were done, I didn't take any time with my family. I hopped in the car and we drove to Montreal because we had to pitch a client the next day. Those are the kinds of crazy things that we do, and we don't realize until something like this happens, where you actually have to turn around and look back and be like, wow, I really should have taken some time to heal properly. I did, and I clearly didn't learn my lesson the first time, because then it happened again. My dad fell and hit his head, and within 52 hours, we had to pull the plug. We had to make a decision to pull the plug because his life was never going to be the same if he did survive the accident. So we went through that. So 52 hours of hell, to say it, didn't have no other better words to say that. Then we plan the funeral. And I pretty much planned all of the funeral. I'm an event planner. That's what I do. Plan the funeral. And then that next weekend, we took our girls to Great Wolf Lodge because we had already pre-planned that before the accident. And we figured our girls needed a bit of normalcy because their life had been turned upside down in that span of time. So off we went. We drove the 5 or 6 hours, whatever it is, off to Great Wolf Lodge. Get back. I held 3 events that week. That following week, I had to execute 3 events. And I remember standing in one of the events, and I was the auctioneer I don't know. I was handing out prizes or something like that at the event. And I remember bending over to pick something up and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to pass out. And I realized right in that moment, I'm like, your body is exhausted. Like, you cannot do any more right now. But in true female entrepreneurial mom tone, I have to push through. I can't let these charities down. I have to do what I'm doing, right? So I continue to push through. Then we had already pre-booked a trip to Jamaica. So off we went to Jamaica. Again, still no time to rest. I rested once we got to Jamaica. We were actually probably the most ridiculous family on the entire resort because we were in bed by 8 and slept till like 10 every day. But clearly we needed it, right? Our bodies needed it. So what happened? So this is how this was explained to me, and it made so much sense. So I'm going to try to explain this to you. So again, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, so take this for what you want, but this is what really was a game changer for me. So we have our baseline of what we can manage. So our cortisol levels, right? So cortisol is what manages your stress. And we have that baseline. If your cortisol levels get below the baseline, that's where you start to get into depression. Okay? Then you have the upper tier of that cortisol level. So the kind of that max of where your cortisol levels can be. So your cortisol, when you're feeling normal, just kind of bounces in here. And that's totally normal. You want it to do that because, you want to get excited about things, or you need to get a little bit scared about things. And so then that just keeps bouncing in between. Okay, making sense? What was happening with my cortisol levels over those 10 years or so, where that extreme level of pressure and stress and anxiety were building up, my cortisol levels surpassed this level of acceptability, right? So it was no longer in this middle ground that was safe for my body. My cortisol levels were now up here. And this is where you get anxiety, is up here. So to me, now I understood, right? Like where my body, so even when I had a good day, my cortisol levels were so high that I still could not even get back down into the safe level zone. They were just constantly on top of that over the top point. So now looking back, as I said, right, you see all these points in your life where the stress is adding up and where you didn't take time to heal properly, you didn't go to a therapist, you didn't fully process all of these moments. And so now you've continued to push everything down. And now whatever this tipping point is for you, you have now spilled over. And your body is like, you're done, dude. This is it. You're taking a break. We're now taking control because you're not listening. I'm just going through my notes here, guys. Sorry, bear with me for 1 second. So even after all of the healing I did in the last 2 years, which I'm going to get into, and I want to talk about a lot about that and what the tools are that I use to stay healthy now, is that so within this last year, I had a breakthrough, right? So what happened when I had the breakdown is a lot of people were telling me it's actually not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough, which I love that, right? Because you've gotten to a breaking point and now you're going to change everything and come out of it as a whole new person, as someone totally awesome and great. So when I was able to really get healthy and feel better, I had this breakthrough. And I realized that on top of all of those things that I was dealing with or that I didn't deal with and that actually made me sick, I went back to just day-to-day management of my life, and I still couldn't figure out why I had gotten sick in the first place. And then I started to realize. So as a mom, I was not expected, because my husband's not like that. It's not a, you have these roles and I have these roles. That's not the way we work. But as a mom, I want to say like martyring myself, right? I was making myself a martyr in my own life, and that I had to be perfect, and I had to be there, and I had to be this, and I had to do that. So just give you an example of a day that I was living. So I would put my kids on the bus, then I would get in my car and drive 40 minutes to an hour and a half into a job in the city that I hated. Excuse me. And then I could probably only work 5 or 6 hours that day because I had to get home in time to get my kids off the bus. So I'm adding that stress to myself, right? Like I'm rush. I'm a consultant, so I only get paid for the number of hours that I work. So because I'm only working 5 or 6 hours, then I am losing money. So now I'm causing a financial stress on our family. Sorry, I need some water. I had started a new company because I wasn't happy doing the job that I was doing, and I needed a passion for myself, and I wanted to do something that inspired me and excited me. So I would take days off and work on the company and try to get things up and running. Then, when the kids got home off the bus, then we would have homework and we would have dinner, and then we get back in the car and we drive back to the city or back into our town to get them to basketball or, whatever activities were going on that the kids had to do. And then because my husband worked shift work, I was constantly having to rebalance my schedule to match his. So I never had any consistency or structure around my own time because my life revolved around his. Because he's a firefighter, he can't just, hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late or whatever. Like they can't do that. So I had to rearrange my life to make that work. So I had this aha moment about a year ago, and it was a game changer for me. It was really like it just let this lifted this huge weight off myself. I had been feeling like I wasn't good enough or that I had failed. And I was going to therapy. I was doing all of these things, trying to talk it all through. And I didn't have that answer until I figured this piece out. So when I figured this piece out, I realized what was happening was that I was expected to work a full-time job, but be home to get the kids on the bus and off the bus. I wanted to start a new company, but I didn't have time to do that. I had to manage my schedule around my husband's schedule. And at the time, he was so stressed about the finances because I wasn't bringing in as much money that he was expecting me to make as much money as he was making, but he's in a cash for life job, 9 to 5. As a consultant, yes, I can technically make that, but not if I'm doing all of these other things, right? I can't be everywhere at every minute of the day. I can't be at work and be at home with my kids and taking care of all of these family and life things at the same time. So once I finally had that realization, just this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. So then begins the real healing. I'm just reading here what Emily is writing. It says, I think a lot of people forget the sacrifice the entire family makes when one person is a first responder. 100%. Right? I love my first responder. He is an amazing guy. I love what he does. I'm super proud of him. I love when I drive through the city and I see the fire trucks, especially if I know he's on shift. To see the fire trucks, it gives you that little sense of pride. But with that, there's a lot of things that come with that, right? So there's the stress. I don't generally stress about him. I don't worry about him not coming home from work or, getting into a fire that he can't get out of. That kind of that doesn't really cross my mind. But his schedule causes me a lot of stress. Their male bonding time, there's all these outings that he has to go to and, weekends away and all of these things that they have to do because that's just what they do. So there's a huge stress on families and like having Christmas Day by myself with our kids, right? That's not that's hugely stressful. And when the kids were little, we did the best we could to make sure that everything felt normal. Hey, Erin. it changes things. It changes everything. We don't have that same Monday to Friday 9 to 5 life that everyone else does, which I am totally grateful for because I love that we don't have that life. But it does change the way you have to manage everything else, because when people, let's say friends are having a party on the weekend, if Trevor's working, I either go by myself or we don't go. Right? Just all these like weird things that you don't think about until you're actually living the lifestyle. Okay, we're just going to change up my sheet here. Sorry, it's going to be loud for a second. Okay. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Anything about like the diagnosis or managing cortisol levels? Anybody want to talk about their breaking point? My understanding from Emily is that she thinks that there's a lot of women in her group that are on the verge of breaking points because of COVID. And I think it'd be very interesting for you to really take a look and put some thought into, like, is it really COVID that is, like, is COVID the breaking point, like kind of that tipping point? Or is COVID actually causing you the stress that is going to take everything over the edge? But like, take a minute and look back 5-10 years and see what other parts of your life have been stress and causing you anxiety that you have just pushed all those feelings down and you never actually dealt with them. Right? Okay. So let's talk about my healing process over the last 2 years. And I'm hoping that there's a lot here that I'm going to be able to offer you as far as advice and recommendations on things that you can do to make sure that you get healthy and that you stay healthy. So Erin has a question. Erin has a sign. Nope, that's what she wrote. Erin has a question. What signs did you miss that you now know were warning signs? That's a good question, Erin. Warning signs. I think probably all the things that I started to notice in late 2018, and I think that my husband was noticing, but I was so angry and frustrated with him because he was angry and frustrated with me about my business that I wasn't really listening. I didn't want to hear what he had to say. So getting really tired, being frustrated and angry all the time. And anyone who knows me, I'm far from an angry person. I'm pretty actually relaxed and calm. And if I think all of my kids are watching here, and if any of them comment differently, I'm going to have words with them. So pretty calm and relaxed. So missing out on those points of like, suddenly I'm snappy and I'm frustrated all the time. I was tired. I was gaining a lot of weight, and that's stress weight. It wasn't that my lifestyle really had changed. It was stress adding on those extra pounds. Okay. What was your aha moment? What made you stop and say, whoa? It was my diagnosis with the therapist. That was really that moment that I just figured that I wasn't doing enough and that I wasn't working hard enough and that I just needed to talk to a therapist who understood high achievers and entrepreneurial women so she could give me tools so I could be better and do more. And in fact, she did the complete opposite. I think she read me literally within minutes of being in the call. We actually did it as a Zoom call, and this was pre-COVID. This was a pre-COVID Zoom call, if you can believe it. We actually had within a few minutes, then she started asking me all these questions, and I'm like, I wonder why she's asking me that. She's like, are you crying a lot? Do you tend to get frustrated really easily? Right? She's going through all these checklists, and I'm like, yes. And then she said, okay, so I've got it. I'm like, okay, cool. She's like, you're on the verge of a complete mental breakdown. You need to stop now. Like, that was that moment for me, and I was like, crap. All right, so I'm either calling it quits now or my body is going to call it quits for me. So I had no choice but to take a minute and just stop. Okay, so self-care and healing yourself is in your own hands. No one is going to do it for you. If you don't take it seriously, no one is going to take your hand and walk you through this healing process, right? I think what we do as moms and as wives and as women in general is that we're always telling everyone, it's fine, I'm okay, I don't need help, everything's gonna be fine, I just need to rest. I'll just take a break tonight, Monday night, and I'll binge watch some TV shows. What we don't realize is that a couple of hours of rest is not enough to make up for all of the stress and pain and anxiety that we're carrying with us that has been bottled up for years and years and years, right? Like this is like check out time. We need to be doing nothing for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then from there, you're building a healthy strategy to get better. So this is what we're going to talk about, is that healthy strategy. In order for my healthy strategy to work and to happen, even, not even just to work, but to it, so that it would actually happen, I had to ask for help. Women, you are the worst at asking for help. You don't want to show weakness. You don't want anyone to know that you're suffering or that you're not okay today. You have to ask for help. No one is going to come to you and be like, hey, are you okay? Like I am a great friend. I'm a great friend. I know I am. But I don't go looking to my friends to make sure they're okay. I'm just not that type of friend. But if a friend comes to me and says, hey, I'm struggling a little bit, I need some help, I will drop everything to be that person that person needs. And my friends are exactly the same. I surround myself with women who are identical. We are all busy, successful women, and we work and we do all of our things that we need to be doing. And it's an understanding between all of us that I'm not going to check on you every day, and they are not going to check on me every day, but they know that if they are not okay, that they can come to me. And I know that if I am not okay, I can go to them. So this healing journey started when I started to ask for help. So the first 4 months after my diagnosis, things got worse, if you can believe it. I knew I needed to stop, and things actually got worse. So I wasn't sleeping, and everyone knows how important sleep is. If you're not sleeping, it just becomes a vicious circle of being sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker, right? Because your body can't heal. Your body, like your mind and your physical body, cannot heal if you are not sleeping. So I wasn't sleeping. I was in physical pain. Everything started to hurt. My neck hurt, my shoulders hurt, my back hurt, my legs hurt. Like it didn't matter. Everything hurt. I remember going to my naturopath, which I'll get to in a second. I was going to my naturopath, and he said to me, do you get massages? I'm like, yeah, all the time. And I said, he goes, okay, how often is all the time? And I'm like, I don't know, like once every 2 months or something. He's like, that's not what I mean. He said, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, what I'm giving you to do today is you need to go to a massage therapist every week for the next 4 weeks. So I went to see my massage therapist for 4 Fridays in a row. The first 3, every time I left there, my head hurt so bad. But because my neck and my shoulders were so tight that she was working out all of that pain. And it wasn't until the 4th week that everything finally released. And the headache went away and all the pieces managed, and I was able to function again. Erin says, maybe we need to be honest when a friend asks, how are you doing? You know what, Erin, I 100% agree. And since my diagnosis, I have stopped saying I'm fine. I literally, you can ask me on any day, like if someone sees me in the grocery store or whatever, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. If that's my answer for today, I'm okay. Or I'm great. Today's a fantastic day. How are you? Right? And I don't like it when people respond back to me, I'm fine, because what does that mean? Are you really just fine? And actually, I usually challenge people when they say fine, because I'll go, like my staff often too, right? Like we do our check-in, we have our team meeting. Okay, how's everyone feeling today? And if anyone says fine, I'm like, okay, so you're only fine? And if they say, yes, I'm only fine. Okay, great. Do you need to talk about it? And then we go from there, right? Yes, stopping saying I'm fine, what a win. And it's so true. It just, be honest. And it doesn't mean, I know people are afraid to ask how you are because they're afraid you're going to turn this into a big sob session, right? Like, oh my God, I'm actually horrible. My car broke down, blah, blah, like all of these things. But just don't be that person and just say, you know what, I'm just not having a great day today. Everything's fine, it's good, but I just don't feel good, or I don't, whatever. Or if you're really not feeling good, then say it and say, you know, I could really use some help. Like whether you can help me or someone else can help me, I could really use some help today. But if we don't start changing that conversation, it's never going to change, right? So everyone that's on this call right now, I'm calling you all out. Stop telling people you're fine when they ask you how you are. Step up and be real and tell people how you're really feeling. And also, don't be afraid to say you're great. So many people are afraid, like, well, I don't want to brag because I had a really great day. I sold a $30,000 contract. Wow, like, who cares? Share the joy. Put it out there, especially right now during COVID. Everyone is so heavy and everyone is talking about all these negative things. My business is actually more successful than it's ever been. And it's because of COVID that I am doing so great. And I have been screaming it from the rooftops because I'm so tired of listening to all the negativity and about and I feel bad. People are suffering and it's hard for a lot of people, but I am not going to downplay how great my life is right now to fit in with what everyone else wants me to be saying. Right? So when you feel good, say you feel good because that's maybe the person, that person maybe needs to hear that from you today because everything else in their life has been so horrible and they want to meet up with you like a friend or an acquaintance and hear that someone is doing great and loving life right now. That may be just that little piece of hope that they needed to hear. Right? Okay. So everyone, stop saying we're fine. You're great. I'm not okay. Those are acceptable answers. Emily says, yes. We need to celebrate everything. 100%. Our family, we are big on celebrating the smallest moments because life is way too short, as we have learned way too many times in our family. So we make sure that we celebrate all the time. Okay, so we are well into we're heading towards the 45-minute mark. That's awesome. As long as everyone's still staying and we're engaged, that's awesome. Okay. So physical pain. Then I started to gain weight. Then with all of that falling apart, right? Then I started to lose my self-confidence. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was a failure to myself. I felt like I had failed my family. I felt like I had failed my staff, right? So this whole world is crumbling around me. So not only physically am I dealing with all of this, I'm actually mentally dealing with all of this. And I've always been a pretty confident person. So this was a total 180 for me, just totally flipping my life on its head and turning things around so that I was like, wow, okay, things are not as good as I've always known them to be. And then came the anxiety, right? So then I had one anxiety attack. I've only had one, knock on wood. I need to knock on some wood somewhere. That I only had one anxiety attack. So through my healing process, I had met with a client. We were in his office, and we left his office, or I left his office and started to drive home. And all of a sudden, my chest just started to tighten. I was having a hard time breathing. And being the woman that I am, who was like, I just need to get home. If I can just get home. I was like 40 minutes away from home and I drove home like that. Like I should have pulled over. I thought I was having a heart attack. But yet here I am. I just need to get home. If I can just get home, everything will be okay. And I came in the door and lied down on the couch, and my husband, being the firefighter, knew I wasn't having a heart attack, but that's what I felt like. And I just, I can't breathe. Oh my God, my chest, there's something wrong, and he just had me lie down, breathe it out. So anxiety attack, I was having heart palpitations all the time, like crazy amounts of heart palpitations. That's super stressful. If you've not experienced that, that is super stressful. And I had my husband drive me to the hospital. So he's a firefighter and he knew I wasn't having a heart attack, but he drove me anyway because I was so freaked out. I drove myself, or had him drive me to the hospital 4 times because I thought I was having a heart attack. That's how bad all of this anxiety, that's all it was anxiety. I was so worked up about what was going on in my life that I literally felt like I was dying. That's crazy. Erin says it's the I'll push through mentality at play. 100%, right? Because that's the way we were raised. Be strong, be focused, be independent. Do what you have to do in order to be successful. And if you don't, you're a failure or you're not worthy. And as I'm learning now, as I'm on this like amazing healing journey, that we do that to ourselves. Like there is not one person in my life who thinks I'm a failure. 100%. It is all on me who thinks I am not good enough and that I need to be more. So really take a minute and check that. The next time you hear yourself saying that, I need to be better, I should have done better, check and see if someone else is actually saying that to you or if you're doing it to yourself. Okay, so to deal with all of this that I was dealing with, so not sleeping, physical pain, weight gain, low self-confidence, anxiety, I created my own healing team. So I now have this group of doctors and service providers who take care of me. This is my self-care routine. This is what makes me whole and healthy. So I have a naturopath and a chiropractor. I have a naturopath and a functional doctor. Okay, so naturopath, as we know, is kind of that nature-focused herbal medicines, acupuncture, like all of those types of things. That's how they treat you. What I love about a naturopath is that I actually had to fill out like a 12-page document before I went to see him. And it includes everything, like everything from the time you were born, like everything you can remember about your life, because they believe that things that happened in your past are bringing up what's happening to you now. To me, that is brilliant. Not that I don't appreciate Western medicine, because I absolutely do. The science is amazing, and my own family doctor is fantastic. I love him. But the naturopath was able to open my eyes to a whole other world that I had no idea. And it made so much sense. It finally made sense, right? Like all of these health problems and anxieties and all these things that I was dealing with made sense all of a sudden. It was because of him. Then I also have a functional doctor. So a functional doctor is a cross between a Western medicine type doctor and a naturopath. So they can write prescriptions and, do all those kind of requisitions and all that kind of stuff, but they have a naturopath mind. That's the way they think. So that was, those are two of my major doctors that I see. I go to physio, I go to chiro, I go to a massage therapist. I have a trainer, so an exercise trainer, and he's a bit of a life coach type of idea as well. So trainer, I take CBD oil, love it. And I remember the first time I bought it, my husband was like, "Who are you? And where did you take my wife?" Because I'm so against marijuana and any kind of drug or anything like that. So when I wanted to try CBD oil, he was like, "What?" Meditation, game changer. How many people here meditate? I would love to see if any of you meditate. I don't even care if you do it regularly, just do you do it, and has it changed your life? Yes, that's what I like to hear. Amazing. So meditation has changed my life. It was literally forcing myself to put on headphones and listen to a 10-minute meditation every day. That was it. And I learned to meditate by just doing that. It has changed my life. I think when I started to meditate and I finally got this feeling of calm come over me, I realized that I have probably been anxious my entire life. There was always this huge knot in the pit of my stomach. I was always feeling butterflies, what I thought was butterflies, but now I realize it was actually anxiety. And so I am so calm now, and things that used to rile me up don't even faze me anymore. And I guarantee, I am 100% certain it's because of meditation. Okay, yoga. I go to yoga regularly, obviously not right now during COVID. I have a daily gratitude practice, and I see a therapist. That's it. Like, that is my team. Now, what's really funny is that I was in a session with my therapist, and I remember saying to her, I really want to stop having to count on meditation and my CBD oil and all of these things. I said, I feel, and she kind of looked at me as like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, it just makes me feel weak. Like, I should be able to get through a day without having to meditate or without having to take CBD oil. And she looked at me and she kind of smirked at me. And I'm like, what? And she goes, do you understand how crazy you sound right now? And I'm like, but I just want to be normal. Like, I just want to be a normal person who can function from one day to the next, right? Without all of this extra support. Then she put it in a way for me to understand. So she said, professional athletes, do you think that they do everything they do by themselves? Like, do you think that they just wake up every day and they work out and they eat well and they just do their own thing and then they show up on the court or in the arena or whatever it is and just be awesome? She's like, no, they have a team of people who make them healthy. She's like, this group of people that you've put together and these tools that you have for yourself is what makes you healthy. And that's what's going to continue to make you healthy. So we're going to get you healthy. And then once you're healthy, we're going to keep you healthy, right? So here's my team of people that makes me healthy. So now I love all the pieces of it. And I literally thank all of my doctors when I go in and see them. I'm like, I'm so glad to see you today, because I know I'm going to feel better when everything's done. And even if I'm doing it proactively and not going because I have a knot in my back or whatever, that I'm actually like, no, I'm just here because I need to be here and I know it's going to make me feel better in the long run. Okay, so we have a question. It says, how do you fit it all in? So if you don't mind, I'm going to hang on to that question for a minute because that's my next part. So we're going to talk about that in 2 seconds. Okay, so let me just see here. Okay, so here's where we're going to head right into this right now. So I'm very aware of the time. I'm having so much fun and I love talking and I love telling my story and I love sharing because I know it's going to help. So I don't want to drag this on any longer than I have to. But okay, so I heard a saying that changed my life, and maybe this will help some of you guys. The saying is, stop managing your time and start managing your priorities. It was one of those sayings that came up through my feed one day, right? And it literally stopped me in my tracks. It stopped me from scrolling, and I was like, oh, game changer, right? Stop trying to fit everything into your life and be everything to everyone. Pick your priorities, your own personal priorities. And if whatever else is going on in your life doesn't fit within one of those priorities, don't do it. It was one of the most freeing steps I have ever taken in my lifetime. So I sat down and thought, okay, my priorities. Okay, I have to limit it to 3, because if I don't, it's going to become like a to-do list and it's going to be 10 pages long and I'm going to have a million priorities. So 3 priorities. So 1 is my own physical and mental health. Notice I put myself first. I am number 1. Whatever I need to be physically and mentally healthy is my top priority. Then my husband and my 2 daughters. They are my second priority. So whatever they need to make their life great and healthy and happy, that is my next step. My last priority is the success of my event management company, because it's going to get me out of a job and a life that I don't enjoy, and it's going to make me happy because it sparks joy in my life. Okay, those are my 3 priorities. If whatever I'm doing doesn't fit within one of those 3 priorities, I don't do it. I literally stick to that. If it does not fit, if people are like, oh, you should be hanging out with your friends more often, or you should be like, whatever they think is a priority, if it does not fit within my priorities, then I don't do it. And it doesn't mean I don't hang out with my friends. I do. We have the most amazing friends, and I love spending time with them. And they are part of my mental health part of that. Like, so number 1, if I feel like I need to get out and spend time with my friends because I need that mental health release, then that's what I do. But I don't spend time with my friends because I don't feel pressured to. Never again will I feel like I need to be everything to everyone. Okay, we've got, yes, shifting your thinking to being about priorities makes such a huge difference. 100%. Literally a game changer in my life. It was so great. Okay. Okay, so here's how I fit everything in. So I've got my 3 priorities, and I had them on the back I had that saying printed out and put on the back of our bathroom door for the longest time, and then my 3 priorities underneath it, so that every time I was in the bathroom, like I was literally staring at it and like just, what do they say? Manifest that shit, right? So just like absorb, and just until it changed my life. Now, here's how I maintain my healthy lifestyle now. I've created structures and systems around my life. So I have a morning routine. Erin says, your priorities are the filter through which you make decisions. It's life-saving, 100%. And if I had hearts that I could push here, I would do that for you guys too. Okay, so my morning routine, try to create a morning routine that works for you that you do every single day. So my morning routine, you guys comment while I talk about it. You guys comment in there if you guys have a morning routine that you stick to. So I wake up, first thing I do is meditate. I journal. I read. So we read something educational in the morning. In the evenings, I read something fictional. But in the mornings, I read something educational. Meditate. Journal, read. Oh, and then I check out my schedule for the day, right? So I pull up my agenda. I do my handwritten agenda from my digital agenda. I keep a calendar. So I have a account, like I literally live by my calendar. So someone says like, hey, do you think we can have a call next week? Yep, let's book it in now. Even if it has to change, it's fine. But I got that structure so that I know what my life looks like. The most important part about my calendar is that I always set up my calendar to book my own personal stuff first. And I know that's not always possible. Every time I talk about that, I get people telling me, yes, but if you work for someone else and you have a regular job, it's not possible to do that. I still think it's possible to do that. You just need to do it slightly differently. But I always build in my time first into my calendar. So I like to take Thursdays off from work because there's a yoga class that I love to do on Thursday mornings. So I take Thursdays off, and then Thursday afternoon, that's where I fit in all of those doctor's appointments and massage therapists and stuff. And obviously they're spread out. I don't do all of them in one day. But that's the time I have set aside in my own personal calendar for me to do all of those appointments and take care of myself. Then structure your days. And then I build out my schedule from there, right? So, sorry, I'm trying to read all my notes. I literally have like scribbles all over this sheet. Then I build out my schedule from there. So I do myself first, and then I worry about family stuff that I have to take care of, and then I build in my work and structure around that. Aaron says, it's possible, Julia. I totally agree. I can't put myself first is a story we believe is truth. 100%. That is where we are making ourselves martyrs in our own life. Oh no, I have to save everyone else around me. Like, no, dude, put on your own oxygen mask first, then deal with everybody else, right? And I guarantee you, the minute you start saying no to everyone else and yes to you, your life will change. Literally change overnight. You suddenly have this control and energy for yourself, and then you become a better mom, a better wife, a better person all around because you're taking care of you first. Right? Okay, awesome. You guys are getting me riled up here. Okay, love it. Planning. So I used to fight having a calendar and having structure around my life and having a budget and all this stuff. But what's happened is I now have those things and I'm obsessive about them, and my life feels more in control than it ever has. And it's not hard to manage. It's a bit of a hard habit to get into to start, but once you get going, it's so easy, and then you become obsessive about it, and then you cannot let it go because then your life feels out of control. Right? As soon as you put all of those structures in place for yourself, you have a calendar, like a regular calendar that you refer to on a regular basis. You have a budget, all of these structures for your life puts everything in control, and all of a sudden you feel like you can tackle anything. Physical activity. So getting outside, doing some kind of physical activity. And this does not mean working out. I think a lot of people push this off because they're like, you have to work out all the time. You don't have to work out. You have to be physically active for like 30 minutes a day. Go outside and shovel snow for 30 minutes. That's your physical activity. Go for a walk in the bush. That's your physical activity. Sit on I have a spin bike. Even if you don't do a spin class and go all out and get all sweaty, just get on the bike and pedal it for 30 minutes. It will change your day. I have actually moved my workout time now to about 4:00. So when I finish my work day, when I'm feeling drained and exhausted, and normally I would just come downstairs and lie on the couch and be like, that's it, I'm toast, I'm done. I've actually started working out now at that time instead, and it rejuvenates me for the rest of the evening. And all of a sudden, like, not so much that I want to go back upstairs and do more work. Upstairs, that's where my office is. But not that I want to go and do more work, but it makes it so that I'm not lounging on the couch like a big sloth. Right? Erin says, the book Atomic Habits is blowing my mind right now. Definitely recommend this book for anyone looking to create new habits. Oh, Erin, damn you. Now I have to read another book. I got so many books for Christmas. I've got this stack of books that I have to read. Now I have to order that one too. Okay, and then the last thing that I am doing to keep myself healthy and take care of myself first, excuse me, is to create a bedtime routine. So, they say it in all the reports, no TV and no phone, like an hour before bedtime. And I really recommend reading something or doing a gratitude practice before bed. Like, give your body an opportunity to just chill, like just stop absorbing information and content. I find reading fiction like kind of the equivalent of watching mindless TV, if you want. Like I don't really pay attention. I read it, I hear it, but I don't like absorb it. So my brain isn't tired after that's done. I can just, it's just enough to shut off the rest of the world for me and make me sleep. And since then, since I got that bedtime routine under control, I sleep better, and in turn, then my day is better, right? The next day. All right. So I have talked way longer than what we thought was going to happen. And I know Emily said I had an hour, so we got 5 minutes to close this up. So there's a lot here, and I know I've talked and I could talk for hours more. And not everything is going to spark you today. Like, not everything I said that you're going to be like, oh my God, I have to do all of these things. You're going to write it all down. I know a lot of people are very hesitant towards meditation, for example. If that doesn't spark joy in you today, then I want you just to put that aside, but pick up something else that I said and just try it. And do one thing at a time. Don't try to create a list of everything I said today and turn it into this great, oh my God, I'm going to change my life tomorrow, great move. Pick one thing and make it a habit. So do it for 2 weeks until it becomes a habit, then add in something new, right? So pick one, whatever, if you find yourself angry and frustrated all the time, how about just starting a gratitude practice? Every night before you go to bed, write down 3 things that went amazing that day and that you're grateful for. Do that for 2 weeks, make that a habit. Then add on physical activity. So 30 minutes every day, I need to go outside for a walk or whatever. Keep it simple. Do not set yourself up to fail. Just pick simple, easy things. And as you find you get healthier, then you will start to be able to make these other changes to your life that are going to be the big changes that you really see a big difference in your life. All right. I am going to sign off before Instagram Live cuts me out. So thank you everyone for joining me. I'm so happy you were all here. It was a fantastic evening, and I hope that I was able to answer any questions. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. If I didn't answer something, I am an open book when it comes to my mental health. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you could use someone to talk to. Thanks everyone.